We never thought that we could have a repeat of the Sharpeville massacre or June 16, 1976 tragedy in the form of Marikana 2012 tragedy, where more than 34 South Africans were killed. The Marikana tragedy is sadly not over. It is 2017 and people continue to be killed in the mining community. Our political leaders do not take responsibility. We have a collective leadership of, angazi. Hey, once again, hey, yes, angazi, I don't know, you know. And for this tragedy, who took the fall? A woman, Police Commissioner Bierga. Why did the Minister of Police not get fired for the Marikana massacre? What actually happened with him? He was reshuffled to another sport that is going to ensure that he doesn't lose his pegs as the minister that you know today. Okay. Now, comrades and friends, I think it is very important for us to deepen our understanding and appreciation of the key embodiments of what constitute leadership qualities of Helen Joseph's stature, caliber, and moral stamina, as we believe this would contribute in elevating the critical importance of moral and ethical leadership in building a prosperous and united society. And I want to repeat, no society can prosper if it is led by an amoral and immoral leadership. And I do want to say to you, just reflect, when it comes to the Quality Political Leadership Index, I suspect we would make it into the Guinness Book of Records for protecting and giving the second term to the most disgraceful president the world has ever had. We gave the world President Nelson Mandela. When the world cheered us, we were very angry South Africans. And we wanted to teach the world the lesson. We gave them President Jacob Zuma. What a contradiction. We are also hailed as having the best constitution in the world. But its disregard by the ruling party diminishes its worth. We are therefore number one in terms of a country that did not like being famous for the right thing. We have a president that remains in office despite violating the Constitution, our supreme law of the land. He has even violated every rule of his own ANC constitution. Truth be told, can we only blame him for this, or should we blame the ANC that shields him? Why should we give the ANC another chance in 2019? When it disregards our people as they marched on the 7th of April, and the ANC behaved as if nothing has happened. The state capture where the Gupta family controlled state affairs, the landing of this Gupta family in one of our national key points, security points, no politician for this scandal. Instead, some Bruce Polokwane from my town, by the way, he's from Sobantu, from Pietermaritzburg, became a fall guy. Why should our youth and women entrust the ANC with the responsibility to govern in 2019? And you'll understand later on why I'm saying that when I conclude my speech. Why specifically youth and women? You see, let's appreciate the power of the voter. A voter is a very powerful person in a democratic and constitutional dispensation. A voter gets to hire and fire political parties. A vote is the most powerful instrument in the hand of a citizen. Therefore, the voter must not just complain about corruption, nepotism, arrogant leadership, poor service delivery, high unemployment rates, crime, violence, poor quality education, low economic growth. The voter must exercise this right wisely. For example, in each election, the ANC promises to deal with corruption. If you go back to its manifesto, election manifesto, you will find corruption there. We shall deal decisively with corruption. We will deal with crime. And at some point, we even promised people that we will create over 500,000 jobs. You remember? And we lost more than that. We didn't create those. We actually lost those jobs, especially in the engineering and metal industries. Now, I am saying we need to ensure that a voter can correct the anomaly in a society through a ballot. The moment for a voter to shine comes once after 5 years. Despite the many challenges we have in our country, the South African voter now understands the value of their vote. And to me, honestly, I must say that I congratulate South Africans, because the fact that South Africans stood up and said, we are tired of this, and they united behind the new South African flag, and they were saying, we want a change in leadership. To me, that is active citizenry, and we need to encourage that. And I also think that the South African voter is more sophisticated than earlier assumed. The 2016 local government elections saw real democracy at work when traditional ANC voters, of course, I don't encourage them staying at home, but they did, and that is why the ANC lost 4 metros in one single election. Now, I think I need very quickly to just cover this aspect, because it bothers me. I don't think we talk about it a lot. And that is the need to shift the perspective of the voter and the liberation movement. In societies that emerge from the liberation struggle, be it against colonialism or colonialism of a special type or apartheid, corruption somehow gets institutionalized. When liberation movements become ruling parties, entitlement to govern at will without regard to moral standards and ethics creeps in as they control state resources, organs of state, the economy, in some countries, even courts. They literally become bigger than God. Remember, the ANC said, its leaders at least, said the ANC shall rule until Jesus comes back and goes back. Government departments thus becomes the patronage dispensing the machine. The longer the voter realizes that she or he has freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom to establish a political party, freedom to moral conscience, the better for this country. And the greater the prospects of bringing back our focus on our the better for us to bring our mission to a prosperous path. Now, in fact, this entitlement liberation struggle syndrome is very, very crippling to the voter, because all the time people, they still, in fact, I remember Kgalema Motlanthe would say, you know, we have almost become conservative as the ANC because we seek to conserve the past. We are no longer looking at the future. We are almost becoming like more of a conservative party than a liberation movement that is supposed to be liberating the people from the shackles of colonialism and so forth. Having the political power concentrated in 1 or 2 parties in societies like ours I want to argue, is suicidal. Either way, it has a risk of reversing the gains of freedom. I don't wish to go through that. I don't wish to go into this in detail, but I do want to sensitize us that we should not cast aspersions on people that are trying to start parties. I mean, even in Rampela Mampela, she tried, she failed, she created a platform for others to learn the lesson from her failures. And the mistakes, the kissing and whatnot, didn't work. Yet on the other hand, you have the liberation movement turned political parties saying, you see, we told you, without us, apartheid is coming back when, say, conservative people dominate society. Because truth be told, the reality is that in South Africa, the race card is being used all the time. If you are going to come there, maybe a party that has a significant number of white people, when that party wins, the ANC will say, you see, we told you going back to apartheid. Yet when it is the ANC, the other parties that are conservative will be saying, you see, we told you, black men can't govern. They can't govern. They can't govern themselves. They need us. Ideally, after the liberation struggle, we should encourage the formation of new parties. Liberation struggle sentimentalism is reversing the gains of our hard-earned victories. I know that we are all suffering from that, and by the way, that is why I stayed in the ANC for 35 years, from when I was 12 years old. And it's not that I didn't see these things. I also believe that the ANC would self-correct. And this sentimentalism, that it has done it before. You know, in Maragoro, you know, comrades, when we talk about that, that no, it happened there. Yeah, even Christian was in trouble at some point. But hey, man, the ANC corrected itself. It's no longer like that. The difference now is that we control the public purse. We didn't control it then. Let's face the fact. The ANC was founded in 1912 to defend and advance the rights of the African people after the violent destruction of their independence and the creation of the white supremacist Union of South Africa. Wouldn't you agree with me that the ANC has undoubtedly achieved this mission? It has. Expecting it to usher us into a united and prosperous South Africa, unfortunately, is sadly suicidal. Evidence suggests that transitioning a liberation movement into a governing one does not move beyond establishing systems for the future. As soon after that, the liberation movement turned ruling party starts undoing all the gains it has made. Christopher Clapham captures this well in his question. And by the way, he is basing it, it's not that it's coming from him. He had a conference where there were all these comrades from the different liberation movements, including us in South Africa, where he termed it the curse of liberation, where he chronicles the past legacies on the challenges of transition in Africa. He argues, open quote, throughout Africa, and indeed in much of the world, there are movements that have fought long and hard with great heroism and often at a great cost in order to achieve the liberation of their peoples and their territories from oppressive regimes. Once liberation has been achieved and the former liberation movement has assumed power as a national government, the struggle has generally been regarded as an enormously positive legacy for the new state and the regime that rules it. The more intense the struggle, indeed, the greater advantages conferred on the new government. The now victorious movements inherit from the struggle a powerful sense of legitimacy. These are the people who have been prepared to sacrifice their lives for the cause and who come to power with an abiding memory of the martyrs who have died in order for them to do so. Nonetheless, visually, all liberation movements have experienced considerable difficulties in actually making the transition from struggle to government. As the problems mount, it becomes all too easy to view the legacies of the struggle not as a blessing, but as a curse, close quote. In order for South Africans to continue cherishing its glorious liberation struggle history, it is pivotal that we make necessary shifts soon so we may not end up thinking of our hard-earned democratic victories as curses. We want to cherish our hard-earned victories. We have to accept that the ANC that we know accomplished its mission. We have to confront the brutal, bitter truth that this new alien and corrupt ANC is undoing all that we fought for now. In conclusion, our vote is central in ensuring that South Africa gets back on its united, prosperous path in 2019. Never before has the future of South Africa rested in the mighty hands of our youth, black or white, Indian or colored, female or male, as according to Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, 80% of the 26.2 million registered voters in South Africa in 2016 local government elections were 30 years and younger. This suggests that the 2019 elections will not be fought on struggle credentials. As by 2019, more than 80% of voters would have been born from 1987. Some of them would have been born 1997, post 1994. These young South Africans must know that the future of this country is now solely in their defining hands. And I also think that we also have to say, in honor of Helen Joseph, a phenomenal woman of substance who exhibited the unifying ideals of feminist empowerment. And by the way, I am a feminist. I'm sorry to those that don't support feminism. Okay. South African women, we make up 14 million of the 2.6 million, 26.2 million registered voters. This represents a staggering 53% of the South African sky. In other words, the 2019 election marks the change in the political landscape, which has been dominated by ideologies. And let's refresh ourselves. Amilcar Cabral once said, open quote, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas, for the things in anyone's head. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better and in peace, to see their lives go forward, to guarantee the future of their children." I therefore want to say, South African youth, women, the future of this country, the prosperous path that we are yearning for, the moral leadership that South Africa wants is in your hands. Right here, in your hands. Come 2019, please save South Africa. I thank you.